Is northern BC racist? Is it racist? Well, of course it's racist, man. It's the freaking north. Nah, let's get serious. But is it racist in the north? Let's talk about it. That depends, man. That depends. Are you likely to face racism being somebody of color in the north than you are in the south? Yeah. Are you likely to be treated a little bit special because you're in the north than the south? Yes. Is it more racist in the south? I don't know. There are quite. Remember, you're in the little bit of the countryside. You're moving towards the north where there's not a lot of diversity. So yeah, there's going to be racism, but racism is everywhere. I'll tell you my experiences. In the north, being a Sikh, I stand out. I love it. You know, people see me, you know, it's nice. You stand out. Sikhs have a lot of respect up in the north. But are you going to face a little bit of discrimination? You know, get a little bit of stares, you know, bad looks? Of course you are. Not every stare is racist. Remember, it's just curious too. But let's look at it. Vancouver. Is Vancouver racist? A lot of people see Vancouver as a very tolerant place. But think about it. In smaller towns and cities, you don't have segregated areas. You don't have ethnic enclaves. Look at Vancouver. Surrey's all Punjabi, Indian, right? Richmond's all Asian, Chinese, and Filipino, Japanese, whatever. And then you have these places that are very white on the outskirts of Vancouver. There's even cases of white people moving away from places like Brampton and stuff because they get so diverse. So self-segregation is a big thing in like a lot of big cities. Even I'll talk about our own community, Punjabi community, Calgary. Most of them are in the northeast. Edmonton, they're all in Millwoods. Winnipeg's starting to follow a similar pattern. They're all in the southern part, right? In Toronto, they're all in Brampton, Mississauga, right? Most of them are in Brampton and Mississauga, right? So, and we got to also look at this thing. Racism is not a generational thing. It's not older people are more racist. To be honest, I've had much better experiences with the older folks, whereas people in Vancouver, they tell me that the old white people are a lot more racist as compared to the younger ones. Well, the different situations here, yeah. Our people faced racism when they initially came. Remember, North BC has a very old Sikh population that's been here since the 60s, 70s, right? Some people have been here since the 50s, man. Some people have been here since the 50s, but most of them, you start to see influential growth in the 70s. Whereas in Vancouver, yeah, they've been there, Vancouver, Burnaby, and Richmond. But in Surrey, they mostly came during the 90s, right? That's when you actually started seeing them, right? So, yeah, it's a generational thing. It's not a generational thing. It's about exposure, right? Whereas the younger generation here is a lot more hesitant because a lot of Sikhs move when the lumber mills close down. So they're a bit more hesitant to speak. But, see, racism is subjective. You can't just be like, oh, because there's like incidences of swear words and stuff. In Vancouver, I see like, people don't say it on your face, but if you get into groups or conversations, like I've heard in my own community, what our people sometimes talk like that are from Vancouver, but other races is pretty nasty. So racism is not, one race is not racist, right? You're not racist because you're from a Pacific race. It's how you're brought up. It's about who you've talked around with. The thing that I love about the North is different communities live amongst each other. They work amongst each other. Yeah, in Terrace initially there were streets like Strome and Wallish that were all Apne, Punjabis. But that was more because there's a lot of racism, so they could stick together. But in present day Terrace, you have them everywhere. You have pockets of Sikhs living in different areas. And where I live, on my street, there's only a couple Punjabi houses here and there, so we're a lot more spread out in Terrace. So, is it racist in the North? Well, yeah, it is racist in the North. Yeah, there's racism in the North, but is it any less or more than Vancouver? Not necessarily. How do you even calculate racism? You calculate racism based on self-segregation, based on how people talk amongst each other, right, in their own races, or do you talk about like small incidences, which are minority incidences, right? So that's my take on it. I hope that answers your question.